44-year-old Aseem Puri.
Just like in the olden days, if you are trying to attack a fort and penetrate, be very
Correct.
focused, very niche.
A person who's a motivational speaker. It's a great honor and a privilege. What has made you what you are?
We are the product of all of our teachers, and our teachers are of all kinds. Execution, good communication, creativity. To produce consistently, you need to have a process.
Secret sauce, how to build it?
Many times you will have moments when you're unsure of which way to go, what to
Yes,
do.
right.
I think it's a great guide to how to behave in those. Do the work, don't talk about it. Some countries are in civil war, some country has a crisis. CEO gets the ultimate crap.
What really inspired you to write this TEDx Productive?
More than 2/3 of employees are unengaged or disengaged. South Korea as a market is a big market, big economy, but dominated by local companies. Unilever also had its own challenges. And whatever problem you're trying to solve locally in a market, bring global solution to local problem. What's successful in one market and test in every market. Always try to build brand equity first before trying to do sales. Try to get a lot of reviews, content, conversation before you start thinking of volume and turnover.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the third episode of Learning from Experience. I'm delighted and honored to meet a young person, 44-year-old Aseem Puri. He is the CEO for Unilever International. In fact, he has won 2 awards that are given by the Unilever chairman for excellence. A person who is a motivational speaker, an author, a turnaround specialist, a brand expert, and I don't know how many other adjectives actually will work for him. It's a great honor and a privilege to meet Aseem Puri in person and have this privilege of interviewing and learning from him. Welcome, Aseem.
Thank you, Ronesh, for inviting me, and lovely to have this conversation. I'm sure we'll exchange a lot of good ideas.
I look forward to that.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to dwell, Aseem, on what has made you what you are. I'm sure there are plenty of people who would like to be you. So what has shaped your ideas and what has given you your present mindset?
Well, I think, just a couple of days back, I was lucky enough to be conferred a PhD by Amity University. And I was reflecting at that moment on career journey, life journey. My mother was in the audience. My father couldn't travel. He was not very well that day. And the big thought that came into my head is, we are the product of all of our teachers, and our teachers are of all kinds. There are our formal teachers. So of course, I had a schooling in Delhi, and my school, which was a boys' school, Mount St. Mary's, the emphasis was always on co-curricular activities. So I was pushed at an early age to do quizzing, to do other extracurricular activities, to indulge in sports, even though I'm not a very good sports person. My mother is a teacher who's a big extrovert. She runs NGOs. She pushed me into debating, saying, you need to learn to communicate. I was quite shy as a child, so she pushed me onto stage. I remember my first speech, my first debate. It went surprisingly well, better than I expected. And then I got addicted to communication. My father, who has taught me the value of reading. So even now, whenever I get a chance, I will always have a book in my bag. I will always be reading every single newspaper, magazine I can lay my hands on. I think all my bosses who've taught me so many things about execution, so many things about leadership, good communication, creativity, consumer connect. So I think it's really all the teachers over the years who teach you, and they teach you both from when you do well and when you don't do well, right? So therefore, when I look back at the best experience I had with the boss was when I had my worst year at work. So when I really did very badly at work and didn't perform 1 year, and my boss gave me a very low rating, which was the worst rating I got in my career. At that moment, I was angry. But when I reflected back after a few weeks and I went back to him and said, look, what did I do wrong? What did I need to do better? And then he showed me that, look, you were not being humble, you were being arrogant, or you were not listening, or you already had preset mindset. Instead, you need to have an open mindset. You need to welcome different points of view, and you need to be much more inclusive as a leader. And that lesson stayed with me. Similarly, I have the privilege of working with different personality types. People who are very disciplined, organized, systematic. people who are highly creative and mercurial. Both of them teach you both what they're good at, so you learn from what you see them doing really well, but you also learn from what they're not doing well.
Right.
Right? So the boss who's really quick in making decisions also many times will take a shortcut on analysis. Whereas the boss who's very compassionate and caring sometimes will compromise on performance. So I think it's a lifelong journey of learning. The one tip for me which works is to capture the learnings. Because I feel if you don't write it down, if you don't capture it somewhere, then you will lose it. And you will not be able to implement it in your work life. So I always try to capture each of these lessons and learnings somewhere or the other. So it becomes sort of a mantra to follow.
And how do you ace execution?
I think, again, this is something I learned over a period of time where I used to abhor meetings, reviews, try to get tied. If anybody tries to tie me down in some kind of process, my whole body will revolt against it, saying, no, I am a creative person, don't put me under process. But I realized later that to produce consistently, to sell consistently, to manufacture consistently, to innovate consistently, you need to have a process, you need to have discipline. So I think execution boils down to one very simple thing: what do you do every single day? So therefore, some good habits for me is waking up early in the morning, using that time to meditate, exercise, plan the day, reflect on the previous day, clean my diary, is a small example. Similarly, when I look at, I have many sales teams around the world, more than 200 people working in sales or in business development. I can see the clear difference between those who talk to their customer every day, those who talk to their customer once a week, and those who talk to their customer once a month. The first group outsells and outperforms the rest by miles. Why? Not because they are constantly selling, but because they're constantly understanding their customer, talking every single day. What is your pain point? What is your problem? So that's another form of discipline of talking to your customer, spending time in the market. So we have, as Unilever International, piloted a lot of new initiatives to help drive this. Because we recognize there is a lot of bureaucracy in companies. We have to cut. So we said, okay, we will cut something called Meeting Monster. We'll cut down meetings. We'll have 20% of the week focus Friday just to meet customers. That's really worked. So I think execution is about discipline, building daily habits, building weekly habit, building monthly habit, and consistently, repetitively, boringly doing the same thing over and over again. That makes you better and better and better. And in a year, you can become world class. If you can do the same thing every day, full year, I think in 2-3 years you can become Olympic level. But very few people have that discipline to do it. So I am building that within me as a habit over time. It's not natural to me. But yes, I think discipline is the way to drive execution.
So a lot of hunger to learn, as I can see from your.
Yes.
Wonderful. What really inspired you to write this 10x Productive?
I think I've been writing on LinkedIn, blogging, again, a form of discipline every week for maybe about a year and a half. And all about good practices that we've implemented in Unilever International, like the Focus Friday, like, for example, cutting back on meetings, like really connecting closely with customers, having a lot more one-on-ones with our team, a lot more recognition of the good work that people do, because I firmly believe the world is deeply underappreciated. So as I was writing this, got good traction. Some people gave me input saying, hey, why don't you put it together? We would love to read it. So that was the motivation. That I think the Gallup study done recently on employee engagement, which they do every year, still shows after so many years that more than 2/3 of employees are unengaged or disengaged.
That's true.
Or passively engaged.
That's true.
And I think we spend at least half of our life at work.
Correct.
Maybe more.
Correct.
Nobody deserves to lead half of their life unproductively and unengaged. I think everybody must be productive and purposeful at what they do. So I think I took it on me as my purpose to serve and inspire others to say, can we first implement it in my business and really help people find a sense of purpose, connection, meaning? Can we then inspire the rest of Unilever and other companies? So I wrote the book as a way of sharing some good practices and ideas with everybody who's at work. So that people can be more productive and engaged. And now I've been doing a lot of talks around it. And I think people take up some of the ideas, like for example, the Buddhist philosophy of if you want to drink from your cup, nectar or tea, first empty your cup.
Right.
Right? So to empty your cup means empty your calendar, clean up your diary, and minimize the number of meetings.
Right.
So you have space to do thinking,
Right.
creative work, etc.
Right.
I think that is a practice which honestly many companies struggle to do.
Correct.
Right? Similarly, I talk about vitamin A, which is a vitamin appreciation.
Right.
It's the most, let's say, deprived vitamin for people at work.
Right.
So we've implemented a lot of good practices in Unilever International. How can we inspire other companies to do the same? That's really the motivation for sharing some of these ideas and learning from others.
Right.
And then hopefully I'm working on the next book of vitamin A, which hopefully should be out next year.
Yeah, we are all looking forward to it.
Thank you.
I mean, it seems a very interesting subject.
Yes.
And I'm quite intrigued by the topic. I mean, vitamin A.
Yes.
I mean, so it'll be out next year.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Aseem, tell me, you're quite a turnaround strategist and feel quite deeply that companies can be turned around.
Yes.
What has been your experience? What has been your learning on this?
See, Unilever International as a business was set up to take care of white spaces for Unilever, seed and incubate brands.
Right.
So as we started doing that, we also started becoming a little bit of a turnaround expert.
Right.
Because the company said, look, there are many businesses or brands or parts of the company that are not doing well.
Right.
Which we have two options. Either we can exit it, we can close the chapter and say, look, this is not working, or give you guys an opportunity to turn it around. And given we are a small entrepreneurial startup and we are looking for opportunity to prove ourselves, we said, okay, fine. If it's a bad apple that you give me, no problem. Let me see if I can make apple juice out of it and or not. And one good example is Korea. So I think South Korea as a market is a big market, big economy, but dominated by local companies.
Right.
Multinationals are not very successful historically in the market. And Unilever also had its own challenges in the market, declining business, not growing, demotivated team, etc. So we took that business over a few years ago, and happy to say in the last 5-6 years, we have grown the turnover many times. It's gone from unprofitable to profitable. We are leading market share in 6 categories. We are a global innovation hub from Korea, serving Unilever in now more than 50 markets worldwide. And that's just one example. There are many more. And I think what's really working there from a turnaround expertise perspective is whatever problem you're trying to solve locally in a market, right? It has already been solved somewhere else in the world.
Right.
So the advantage of somebody like me looking at the whole world is I know that if not the whole solution, but part of the solution may be somewhere else.
Right.
And therefore bring knowledge from other places to bring global products, global portfolio, global sourcing, global innovation to a local problem. So I think that's one lever. Second is, most of the time, you have people in the business that is not doing well who actually know the answer. They know what needs to be done.
Right.
But either their voices are not heard or they have been demotivated over the years because maybe in a declining business, you're not going to get good increments, you will not have a good bonus, you will not feel like you have a career trajectory. So your motivation level is low. So if you re-energize those people with a new sense of purpose, give them a new sense of direction, many of them have a point to prove. Like in Korea case, we had many people who wanted to prove that, look, we can do it.
Right.
We can make it. Even though other people in the company believe we can't, we can do it. So we took a young, hungry team, gave them a big stretch ambition, and instead of we telling them what to do, we said, look, what do you think we should do?
Right.
And really try to get answers from the people on the ground on what portfolio, what products, what category, what channel we should focus on. I think then I'm a big believer that you drive things through appreciation, recognition of good work, not through criticism. Therefore, every time we have a small win in Korea, we celebrate, we recognize, we set a new milestone, right? So I think Korea's story is a good example of literally a dead business, now a thriving business. We have many such examples where, we have the home care is a big category for Unilever. It's a tough and challenging market. It's not easy. There are many countries where we had unprofitable business, not making a lot of money. Literally on the verge of closing down, handed over to us. Now it's spectacularly profitable. Say a market like Mongolia, for example, we've become market leader, very profitable. Why? because we looked globally at the best solutions on home care. And which sometimes, if you're a local company or if you're a single country company or if you're a regional company, you don't have that view. You don't know. So bring global solution to local problem, motivate the team by giving them a sense of purpose or challenge. I think third is change the business model, right? So sometimes we are competing where everybody else is playing, but actually there are many more growth spaces where most companies don't operate. So for example, we sell body washes under the brand Dove globally. We are the global market leader in skin cleansing. But we were working on alternative growth markets, alternative growth ideas. And we discovered that a huge market, untapped by Unilever, was the global hospitality. Where you have over 10-15 million hotel rooms globally. At a 70, 80, 90% occupancy, that means every night there is 1, 2 or 3 people staying in that room using a body wash, using a bar soap, using a toothpaste. But who's playing in this market? Private labels, unbranded players, not players in our industry. So we said, let's set up a new team that will cater to hotels. Everybody laughed at us saying, oh, why will this work? New business, not your model, will not make money. 4 years later, that business today is thriving, multi-million-dollar business for us. We have the world's leading hotels as our clients like IHG, Wyndham, Marriott. We are talking to many more. And we are in 1 million hotel rooms globally with Dove. Which means we have reached over 300 million consumers. So I think new business models, new channels of growth is also a big way to unlock growth.
Quite intrigued that you seem to be quite influenced by both Zen philosophy as well as Bhagavad Gita. How have they shaped your thinking, your mindset, and your professional career?
Well, I think Bhagavad Gita obviously is a great guide to life, to philosophy. And I like to read C. Rajagopalachari's translation in English, which is fabulous. My father gifted it to me, right? So that's how I discovered it, because he had it. And then I think where it's beautiful is every time when there is doubt, when there is uncertainty, because today many times you will have that in your career.
True.
Many times you will have moments when you're unsure of which way to go, what to do.
Dilemmas.
Yeah, you'll have lots of dilemmas in your life, in your career.
Right.
I think it's a great guide to how to behave in those moments. So for example, many times people will say, oh, I'm doing this work today. Maybe my job is not good. Maybe my company is not good. Maybe my boss is not good. I want to go do something else. Yes, it's okay. That is a okay motivation. But what the Gita says is, because Arjuna asks Lord Krishna about not fighting. And Krishna says you cannot avoid your duty, your dharma, your karma, what you are meant to be. And you must do well, fully committed, your dharma, your duty that is ascribed to you, rather than do somebody else's dharma and karma. Right? So therefore, the first task is whatever you have at hand, do it with a 200% intensity and focus. Even if it's not the perfect company, the perfect boss, then yes, eventually other doors will open. Second, I think a lot of people hanker after position, title, money. I reflect, 10, 15 years in a career, you compare your salary with your first paycheck. It's going to be much higher for most people.
Correct.
And you get a big promotion which you've been striving for 3 years. What happens after 3 months? Life is back to normal.
Right.
You're already thinking about what's next. So it's a permanent system of dissatisfaction. So again, the Gita says, focus on the labor, the input, the work. Don't worry about the fruits, they will take care of themselves. So that also helps a lot. So one of my philosophies to myself is, do the work, don't talk about it.
Right.
Do the work, don't worry about the result. So I think that comes from the Gita. On Zen, or where most people don't know, the word Zen comes from Dhyan.
Right.
It's a Chinese and Japanese distortion of the word Dhyan, which is from meditation. I think that's an influence from my wife. She's Thai Buddhist. So I learned how to develop more meditation, more concentration.
Right.
That helps a lot to deal with stress. Because every day in our work, at least in my work, I deal with 200 countries.
Right.
Some countries are in civil war, some country has a crisis, somewhere there's a fire.
True.
Somewhere the sales have dropped.
Right.
Somebody is not meeting their target. Some employee is disgruntled due to XYZ reason.
Right.
It's a constant flow. And I realized after coming into this job that the CEO gets the ultimate crap, right? So whatever filters through the organization and cannot be solved,
Right.
only those problems will come to the CEO's table.
Correct.
So therefore, dealing with that
Yes.
without letting it affect your emotion
Right.
is a practice that I think meditation teaches you. So I think that's something, again, I practice every day, 5-10 minutes in the morning.
Wonderful.
That's made a big difference. So I would
Right.
say these are the two influences. But yeah, I'm constantly reading every book, everything has some learning to give.
Aseem, you're quite an expert in global branding. What are your learnings and your experiences that you can share? Future marketers should keep in mind.
Sure. So I think Ronesh, I can share some learnings,
Yes.
no expertise really, but some things that have worked and some things that have not worked.
Right.
I think one big lesson or one big learning is there are lots of common trends between different markets. People locally may think, oh, India is unique, Korea
Right.
is unique, America
Yes.
is unique. What we see is no, actually there are a lot more commonalities than differences.
Customers are the same.
Similar. And the main reason is why, because the influence comes from the same influencers in social media worldwide.
Right.
We all watch the same Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and other channels where we get influenced by advice and content and reviews and influencer marketing and all of that. Therefore, the first lesson really is find what's successful in one market and test in another market. Don't try to customize solutions to your market. The answers to your needs are already there. If you're in the beauty industry,
Right.
look at what's working in Korea and bring it to your market.
Right.
If you're in another relevant industry, look at what similar companies in other markets are using and bring it to your market.
Right.
So leverage commonalities, not differences, would be,
Right.
I think, one big learning, because for us, what has been working in America is also working in Australia. What's not working in Australia is not working for me anywhere
Right.
or in America.
Right.
So we have more common successes than failures. Second, in every market, always try to build brand equity first before trying to do sales. Means try to get a lot of reviews, content, conversation before you start thinking of volume and turnover. Build equity first, build desire first. Eventually, volumes will follow. Third, when you enter a market, identify a key channel which you would like to start with,
Right.
where you want to concentrate and focus your effort. That might be an e-commerce channel in India. That might be home shopping in Korea. Choose a channel that you want to really excel in. I would say these would be the key learnings to globalize your brand.
One person who has influenced you maximum or inspired you maximum.
My mother, for sure. I think.
What quality of hers?
I think extrovert, always positive, enthusiastic, helping others at all points of time.
And what gives Aseem maximum joy?
Serving and inspiring others.
And that will continue.
Yes, hopefully that will continue. Yes, very much so.
It's so inspiring and motivating to hear you, Aseem.
Thank you.
May God bless you. We
Thank
need
you.
more Aseems in this world today. But friends, it's been very illuminating to hear his mindset. I think some of the things that he has said about vitamin A, I mean, when you think logically, they make a lot of sense. And really, really look forward to the book. So it's been an honor and a privilege to have interviewed you and learned from you, Aseem. May God bless you. And Executive Access is very grateful for you for sparing the time.
No, thank you. Thank you, Ronesh, for the fantastic session. And thank you for the wonderful questions. Really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.